Richard says, Act 3, Scene 3, line 77, when he's finally put in front of Bolingbroke, "If we be not kings, show us the hand of God that hath dismissed us from our stewardship. For well we know no hand of blood and bone can grip the sacred handle of our scepter unless he do profane, steal, or usurp. And you think that all, as you have done, have torn their souls by turning them from us, and we are barren and bereft of friends. Yet know, my master, God omnipotent is mustering in his clouds on our behalf armies of pestilence, and they shall strike your children, yet unborn and unbegot." This is fantastic rhetoric again, but it's fantastic rhetoric for a king who really doesn't have an army facing a potential king who does have an army and increasingly has the will of the people. But again, that doesn't mean Shakespeare is ready to jettison the right of divine kingship, just in the way most political ideologies aren't ready to jettison whatever ideas they hold that grant their sovereign or their sovereign government legitimacy. One thing we want to avoid thinking or saying is that governments or nations are constituted by an initial act of violence. In the case of America, of course, that act of violence is the Declaration of Independence. That's how the country came to be. We fought a war, we won. At that point, that illegitimate government, which was the colonies and the colonial government, became a legitimate government. And then whatever violence they undertook to stay in power became legitimate violence. But most governments are very, very cognizant of the fact, and most populations generally, I don't want to pin this on governments, all of us want to believe that whoever governs us, or whatever governing system we believe in, has a legitimacy that extends beyond the initial act of violence that put that government into power in the first place. We simply don't want to confront the fact that that's how governments are established. We like the idea, in short, of some kind of greater justice or greater good or greater righteousness for at least our own system of governments, whether we consider that a divinely inspired king or whether we consider that a particularly brilliant constitution that talks about the rights of man. We want something, some idea of justice and legitimacy that overrides or obscures the fact that our way of being in the world was determined initially by an act of violence.